to the NXT Podcast, your home for weekly NXT reviews and insight.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
Find all of your NXT news, recaps, and analysis right here. So with that being said, we only have one question for you.
Are you ready?
We thought so. Let's get the show started right now.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to your NXT review for the episode that aired on November 6th, 2024. That was a Wednesday. We had NXT on Wednesday this week. I'm guessing, I don't remember if I actually heard this, but I'm guessing that it had to do with the election being on Tuesday, and they decided to change NXT from Tuesday to Wednesday so people would actually watch it. Because I'm guessing most people watched election results on Tuesday. Anyway, welcome to the NXT review. This is your host, Jay, here every week for your listening pleasure for NXT review, news, anything I have, I will bring to you. We had a show last night, and it came from the 2300 Arena, which is formerly the ECW Arena down in Philadelphia. And they went crazy ECW. And I'm going to get into all what happened last night. It was a great show. Let me tell you. For an NXT show, for a weekly NXT show, this one hit so good. And I've seen reviews where this match wasn't as good, this match wasn't, the whole thing. There was one match which was really, and I'll get into that, which match this is later. There was one match during the night last night that was more, I guess, comedy than anything. And we'll explain in a second, But for the most part, every match just hit and hit hard. And it was a great show. And I can't wait to tell you guys what happened. I can't wait to tell you my thoughts and for those of you that listen to this show every week, I'm going to guess you pretty much know what I'm going to say. And before I start, I'm going to say this. If you're not listening to this on Patreon or ad-free on Apple Podcasts, what are you doing? What are you doing? Pay the $5 or however, there's different levels on Patreon or even less than $5, I think, on Patreon. Or the $5 it is on Apple Podcasts. Have you listened to our podcasts with the commercials? If you have, you know how annoying it gets. And between you and me, and I'm not encouraging this because, ads pay for things, but, sometimes I'd skip them if I wasn't driving. Usually I'm driving and listening to it, so I listen to the commercials too. When I listen to Matt or Amanda or whoever. But get out there, get on patreon.com/WWE podcast or get on Apple Podcasts, and we're on Spotify too. So listen to us ad-free, pay the money. I don't know about other people, but we don't get paid a lot to do this. We do this for the fun of it. So if you want to have more fun, get rid of the ads, pay the fee. If not, if you don't want to do that, then listen to the ads and listen to our podcast. We love doing this. We all love doing this. I know for a fact, and I look forward to doing this every week. My life is busy, but that doesn't mean I don't thoroughly enjoy sitting here and just telling you my thoughts on NXT, because I love NXT. And if you have heard me at all in the last however long I've been doing this now, a month and a half or so, you know that that's the case. So, last night was, as I said before, it was on Wednesday, November 6th, from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They kind of pushed the ECW agenda, and let me talk about ECW. Now, I didn't watch, I grew up, I don't say grew up, I was already in my late teens, early 20s, during the Attitude Era. Excuse me. If ECW didn't exist, then the Attitude Era wouldn't exist. And then beyond that wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't get to where we are now. I didn't watch ECW, but I've seen a lot of clips, as we all have at this point. And gosh darn, oh my God, some of the stuff that they did. Wow. Last night, the arena looked great. I would have loved to have gone to this event. Like, I mean, if you ever watch TNA, they do the smaller venues, the armories, and that kind of thing, and for their Impact Wrestling show. And I would have loved to be. It's had that similar feel. I would have loved to have been there last night, just to watch all the things that were going on. And it was a great show. It was great for TV, but it would have been awesome in person. I mean, there's not a bad seat because it's such a small place. So, for those of you that know me at all, I have listened to this on a regular basis. You know that when it comes to NXT, to me, the biggest attraction is the women's division, right? Last night was no different. I think total for the show, there was 15 women on the show, 15 women wrestlers on the show, total. And that's actually like that were either in the ring or outside the ring. 14 or 15. The show started off with a women's match. It was a hardcore women's match for the ECW arena. And it ended with a huge 10-woman tag team match, which just... They're all so good. And like I said, I think I said this last week, you could do a women's show, NXT show. You could do a women's PLE. Like if they're gonna do an all-female PLE, now's the time to do it with NXT. I mean, you can bring in some of the main roster people just to fill it out a little bit, but I don't even know if you have to. I know they did but this was before I got back into it. I know they did the all-women PLE a couple of years ago. Like, do it again. Like, do it now. You've got the people to do it. Last night, so we get the first match of the night. We got Jada Parker versus Lola Vice in a hardcore match. And ECW legend Dawn Marie was a special guest. My friend, I was telling my friend last night about the ECW or the NXT show, and he actually met Dawn Marie. She's the nicest person. He met her in like an airport somewhere. Like I think it was in New Orleans. He went to the WrestleMania in New Orleans a couple years ago, and he saw her in the airport, and she's the nicest person in the world. So this match for me hit hard. It was a great match. These two ladies, I mean, I've talked about how much I love them before. Their performance was amazing. They used so many different tactics. It was they used ladders and they used chairs. I mean, at one point they were just doing moves on top of chairs for a good 5 or 6 minutes. We had I gotta put my glasses back on so I can remind me what happened. Okay, so. At the end of the match, it was great, and Dawn Marie, all she did was count. She let them just go. I mean, obviously the hardcore match, there's really nothing more she could do, but she let them just go and just beat the heck out of each other. And at the end of the match, there was times where Lola Vice had Jada inside of a garbage can, and there was this one time where Jada. One of them, I can't remember. I can't remember who. One of them had a chair in their hand, like in their hands, like up by their face, and I believe it was Lola that punched the chair and hit it right in. And it was such a good spot. They're all such good spots. So at the end of the match, Jada Parker hits Lola with a trash can lid, and then Sidewalk slams her on a chair. She hits Hypnotic against the ladder for a 2 count, which is, when she jumps down and like sits on the person in the corner. Lola Vice then goes for the sleeper hold, and Jada Parker takes all of a sudden at the end of the match. All of a sudden, there's a brick. There's just a brick in the ring. I don't remember how it got there, and Jada Parker takes the brick. Lola has her in a sleeping hold. Jada Parker takes the brick and just bashes bashes Lola Vice over the head with this brick, and it just disintegrates. And, okay, so you would think, in my mind, and I've never been hit with a brick, but in my mind, if you got hit with a brick in the forehead and disintegrated, you would think that would be the end of the match. But no. Lola Vice then kicks out after being hit with a brick. So that doesn't knock her out for her to get the pin. But then Jada does the move, what she called the move, the super hypnotic, where she like kind of runs the ropes and then bumps a person. And so the brick to the head doesn't knock her out enough to get the pin, but that did. And anyway, end of the match, Jada Parker wins via pinfall. It really was a great match. And if you haven't seen it, I know I usually try to tell you if you haven't seen it yet, watch this match if you don't watch any others. Yes, this is the match. This is an awesome match to watch. And by the way, if you're not a hardcore, this is not a good match to watch. Like and I've talked about my father before. My father doesn't particularly care for hardcore matches. He'd rather just see wrestling matches. But this was an amazing match if you're into it. But you should watch the whole show if you haven't seen it. This was a great match, but there were other great matches too. So then we have a backstage spot with Ethan Page and Ridge Holland. Ethan Page says, "The fighting city of Philadelphia, the birthplace of America, which I find fitting that an Englishman and a Canadian are here to bring the fight to Trick Williams and Bubba Ray and ruin tonight's night of nostalgia." And then, and then Ridge says, "Ethan believes that he deserves to be NXT champion, but I need to be NXT champion. So tonight, we put our differences aside, and Trick in this city, we stand and deliver." So he references Stand and Deliver back when that was WrestleMania weekend. "You soared the highest of highs, but in that dump they call the ECW arena, prepare to be dragged down to the lowest point of your career." And then Ethan finishes and says, "And we promise there won't be any monuments, no statues, no fairy tale endings, and especially no tables." The reason why they mentioned statues is, I forgot to mention, they did this promo out right next to the Rocky statue in Philadelphia. So that's why they mentioned statues. And then we come for the second match. Okay. Again, every match on this card was great. I mean, it wasn't PLE. I mean, to be honest, it was PLE great. The second match is Wesley and Javon Evans. These two were amazing. I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. I apologize. Before that, Rob Van Dam gives Kalani Jordan some advice ahead of her upcoming title rematch versus Fallon Henley. RVD says that if Kalani wants to be a standout tonight, stand out by pinning Fallon in tonight's all-star tag team match. Kalani gives RVD the directions to Ava's office. And then Wesley attacks Rob Van Dam. I don't understand 100% why, but he did. And then gets ready to go to his match. After that, the family, Tony D'Angelo and the rest of them, they run into Sean Spears and Brooks Jensen at Tony and Nick's Philly Cheesesteak restaurant. And Nunzio joins the conversation. Nunzio is back from ECW. Back when it was, and he's like, I mean, the man's like in his 50s and he's skinny as heck. And just Tony D'Angelo, who's not the biggest man in the world. Obviously, we saw that when he went against Obafemi. But Tony D'Angelo he's dwarfed. Nunzio is dwarfed by Tony D'Angelo. So Nunzio says he doesn't understand why the Don hasn't been answering his phone calls. And next week on NXT, Adriana Rizzo will take on Nikita Lyons, which that'll be a great match. Then Nunzio says that the Don is going to be paying a tax tonight for being in his city. And he's going to be giving Nunzio a crack at the NXT North American Championship. And we'll talk about that later. Then we get to the match with Wesley and Javon Evans. So this match goes back and forth. There was one point where one of the craziest moves that I see ever is if you don't know what a poison rana is, It's basically a Hurricane Rana done backwards to someone, and then they just land straight on their head. It looks like they land straight on their head. It's an amazing move, and there was one time that it's done, and I swear to God, I thought the dude broke his neck. So then we get to the end of the match, and Evans hits the Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2 count. Evans drags Lee into the corner. Evans dives over Lee, and Lee kicks Evans in the face. And then Lee super kicks Evans and catches him in midair, and Evans goes for a belly-to-back suplex, but Lee lands back on his feet. Then they go back and forth for a little while there, and then all of a sudden, the cutter. So, if you've ever seen Javon Evans, and I think at this point most people have, especially if you're listening to this podcast, Javon Evans does a cutter from the top rope that, wow, like the timing. And not just, yes, the timing with Javon Evans going off the top rope backwards to do the cutter, but then the timing for the person receiving the cutter to look good receiving it, it's amazing. And he did it twice in this match, and Wesley sold it great, and Javon Evans did the move great, and this happened twice, and it was amazing. And then after the springboard cutter, the second springboard cutter, Evans connect with a 5-star the 5-star frog splash to pick up the victory. During the match, at the end of the match, Rob Van Dam does come out, and he kind of distracts Lee. He didn't really do anything though. He just kind of stood outside the ring and distracted Wesley, and that's how Javon ended up getting the win after that. So. Next, we have Eddie Thorpe. He wanted to discuss business with Ava, but she was busy heading towards the ring. And then we go to commercial. We come back from commercial, and Ava is in the ring with Mr. Stone and Stevie Turner, her sidekicks, I guess. I don't know. Ava says, "What an exciting night so far," and it was at that point. Like, it was amazing. I know I keep saying it, but that doesn't make it any less true. What an exciting night so far. This brand is such an honor for NXT to be held in such a historic arena, and the electricity here is undeniable. The brand is all about passion, and Philadelphia fans are the most passionate and hardcore fans in all of wrestling. Now, before we get to the action, I have some exciting news. NXT will be heading back on the road for our next PLE, which is Deadline on Saturday, December 7th. So Saturday, December 7th. And I think they're doing it on Saturday because they usually do them on Sundays, but I think there's no PLE in December for the main roster. There is Saturday night's main event on the 14th, the week after, but that's on NBC. For me, it's Channel 4 where I am. But it's that's on NBC and Peacock, so it's not really a PLE on Peacock. It's actually on free TV. So they're doing Deadline, which is the NXT PLE, on December 7th from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And they're doing the Iron Survivor Challenge, which will return, which is the most exciting 25 minutes in all of wrestling. And next week I'll get more into what the Iron Survivor Challenge is. I'm saying that, not Eva, but maybe she will too. I don't remember. Mr. Stone says, "Well, Ava, I must say that's great news, but Deadline is going to be a great show. But I don't think it's a good idea to lie to all these people." And Ava says, "What are you talking about?" Mr. Stone says, "Well, you said Philadelphia fans are the most hardcore fans that there is, but everybody knows New York fans are way more hardcore than Philadelphia fans." I mean, he's not wrong. I'm from New York, the Hudson Valley, and we have pretty passionate fans here too. I went to the Madison Square Garden show back in July. I think it was July or June. That was the episode where Paul Heyman got powerbombed through the table, and let me tell you, that was when I was on Fox, and and they had to do a lot of beeping out, dropping the sound from that show because. And by the way, they had to do a lot of dropping the sound out from last night. There was a whole bunch of holy ass chanting going on. Deservedly so. A lot of holy ass comments or chanting. Anyway, that was a side note. So Ava says, that's very debatable. Why would you say that? And Mr. Stone says, to be real, to be very honest with you, hear me out. The truth hurts. I mean, Boston fans are more hardcore than Philadelphia fans. In the good days of ECW, I get it. You people were the talk of the town. But just take the Phillies and the Eagles. Your time has passed. Again, not wrong. As a Giants and Yankees fan, I concur. Don't stop listening to me because I'm a Giants and Yankees fan, please. Everybody has their thing. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he says that, the lights go out. And when they come back on, you see Rhino in the corner. And Stevie tells Stone to turn around, and Rhino just destroys Stone with a gore, and he closes the segment out. And Rhino looks good, I have to say. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen him, and he's older, but he's still got it going on. And he wore the his general ring gear, so he wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it looks like he could still go. Okay, then that's the end of the segment, and then Metaphor comes out to pick a fight with Julia and Stephanie Vacour. That'll be a great match. Metaphor girls and Stephanie and Julia, that's going to be a hot match. A great match. Then we've got the third match, which is, okay, so this is interesting. And again, I bring it back to the whole women's thing. This match could have main evented this episode. And it didn't. They used this as the halfway match for the episode, which was Trick Williams and Bubba Ray Dudley versus Ethan Page and Ridge Holland. And again, another fantastic match. Listen, Bubba Ray Dudley, and I know he's been wrestling. Yeah, he still does independent shows and things. They took it easy on him. You can tell, and he's throwing punches, and they're sort of hitting. They're not really, the way it is. They definitely took it easy on him. The stars of the match were Ridge and Ethan and Trick, and Bubba Ray was there, and it was a great nostalgia thing, and that's pretty much it. The match itself was great, though. At the end of the match, Trick Williams hit 3 clotheslines and then 3 rapid haymakers. William uppercuts Holland and sends Page tumbling to the floor. Williams then whips Holland across the ring. Williams did a flapjack. And then Williams pops back on his feet and hits with the bookend for the 2 count. Later on in the match, we got Then at one point, if you remember the Dudley Boys at all, in their move set, there was one point where Bubba Ray has his legs, and Trick Williams goes to the top of the rope, and then you go, "What's up?" And then Trick goes, "What's up?" And then this is the same with him and Devon back in the day, and Trick jumps off and headbutts him basically in the nutsack. I mean, that's how. I mean, there's no other way really to describe it. And he says, and of course they get the Trick, get the tables, and then Devon comes down to the ring. You hear the music though, and then the music hits. Comes down to the ring with a table. Oh, before the match, I forgot to mention. Before the match, Ethan Page said there will be no tables to be found during the ringside, and there wasn't. There was actually a table. There was actually a table during the hardcore women's match earlier, but then for some reason there's no tables during this match under the ring, which is interesting. So Devon comes down with a table towards the end of the match. Page is begging for mercy, and then Bubba and Williams chokeslam Page through the table, and then they get the win. And then Devon gives Williams the pair of Dudley glasses, the white ones, the white ones with and then Bubba Ray wears the black ones, and Williams celebrates with the Dudley Boys as they go to commercial. After that match, we get Carmen Petrovic with Ashanti the Adonis. She tells him to stay out of her business. She also took interest with the girl that Ashanti was flirting with a couple weeks ago. Ashanti says that he's in a situationship, which, I guess it's one of those younger kids' words, situationship. But he did wish Carmen a belated birthday before she walked away, and she's like, oh, he knows my birthday? And one of those things. The fourth match, and this is more of the comedic match, was Tony D'Angelo versus Nunzio for the NXT North American title. This was a very quick match. This was just supposed to be a fun match between the two Italians. They went. I mean, like I said, Nunzio's tiny, and I didn't really know who he was that well. I know that they were. If you were an NXT fan, I'm not NXT, ECW fan, you would know who he is. I really didn't know who he was 100%. They go back and forth. Mostly it's Tony D'Angelo just kind of kicking the crap out of Nunzio for the entire time. At the end, Nunzio hits the missile drop kick and then kicks Angelo in the gut. But Nunzio delivers the Sicilian slice move for a 2 count. And then Stax throws Angelo the crowbar. Referee gets distracted by Rizzo and Mama Luke. And Angelo passes the crowbar to Nunzio, and the referee admonishes Nunzio. Angelo connects with Spinebuster. Not Angelo, Tony D'Angelo. Connects with the Spinebuster to pick up the victory. And after the match, all the Italians in the ring, they all hug each other. And it's a great time. Like I said, it was a quick match. It was cool. Wasn't great. Of all the matches of the night, this was probably the least entertaining to me. So after that, William Regal gives Lexis King props for not taking the easy way out last week during the Heritage Cup Championship match. He said he proves to Regal that he's not his father's son. And Regal proceeds to ask Charlie Dempsey, who comes in afterwards, if he's his father's son. Charlie says basically that only time will tell, and Regal, which, again, Charlie Dempsey is Regal's son, if you didn't know that. Regal has been keeping a close eye on the No Quarter Catch crew for months, and he challenges for Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights. He says that they should be going for the NXT Tag Team Championships. So we'll see how that plays out. After that, we've got so Ava tells Axiom and Nathan Frazier that she'll inform them who the next tag team challengers will be in the coming weeks. And Frazier says that he's looking to have a week off, and Axiom basically is like, "No, we should train." He's like, "No, we get the week off." Then we have a thing that says next week on NXT, Fallon Henley will put up the North American Championship against Kalani Jordan. Plus, they will be men's and women's Iron Survivor qualifying matches. So we look forward to that. We did see ECW legend Francine was in the front row of the arena. It's always nice to see older talent. And then the last match was the 10-woman all-star match. What they call it? Anyway, so we have... this was Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Kalani Jordan, Zaria, and Jordan Grace versus Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, Fatal Influence, and a 10-woman tag team match. If I went move for move with this entire match, it would literally take me an hour and a half. So I'm not going to do that. All 10 of these women were are amazing performers. All of them. Earlier in the night, and I mentioned earlier in the night, Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend kind of were like puffing their chests again, in front of Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. At the end of this match, they do come out. Jakara and Lash come out and start puffing their chests again in front of them. A lot of action. There's just constant action, and then they literally got all 10 women in this match at the same, not at the same time, but throughout the match. It was a great freaking match. Again, this card was bookended by 2 fabulous women's matches. What are you doing, NXT? Do something special with these women. Do a special PLE. Do something. Because you got the goods. I mean, and by the way, there's a whole crap load of women in the back that aren't even out there. Like, where's Sol Rukaben? Like, seriously. I mean, next week we have Nikita Lyons, and we have, when I say 15, I mean the 10 women in that match. We have Last Legend and Jakara Jackson, which is 12. We had Lola and Jada, which is 14, and then we had Nikita Lyons at one point come out for a brief set. 15 women. It's great. And it's not about, like, obviously back in the Attitude Era, back in the ECW, back in those days, it was so much about like sex and stuff. It's not about that. It's about that all these girls can go. They can go. And I know Jordynne Grace isn't a part of NXT per se, and they did mention again that she's a TNA wrestler, but still, like, they're using her, and they have used her. Anyway, at the end of the match, we've got we had some interesting stuff, and they didn't mention this at all, but I wanted to mention it. At the end of the match, Jordynne Grace was holding Roxanne Perez, and Zarya went for a spear, and Roxanne moved and hit Jordynne Grace with the spear, and Jordynne got just out of the ring. I say that to say, and then eventually Zarya, starts beating the crap out of Roxanne, and Roxanne gets pinned again, by the way. The second time recently that Roxanne Perez, the women's champion, has been pinned. And then, the pin happens. All 5 of the winners come into the ring. Jordan, Julia, Stephanie, Kalani, and Zarya. They all come in the ring. They stand side by side. And you've got, now, picture them all the way across. You've got Zarya on one side of the women. You've got Jordynne Grace on the other. They didn't mention this during the match, but you could see Jordynne Grace giving the side eye while they were all celebrating, giving the side eye to Zarya. So, let me tell you, if they're setting up Zarya and Jordynne Grace, sign me up. Sign me up. That's going to be a great freaking match. That's a PLE match. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the biggest matches on the next PLE deadline. So, keep an eye out for that. I know I'm getting excited. I know that I'm saying how great this was. This was really great. It was great for a Wednesday night in the middle of the week. Let me tell you, I'm having a crazy week, but I loved watching that. To be honest, I'm probably going to watch it again this weekend. It was that good. It was that good for free TV. And luckily, I didn't delete it off my DVR, so I have that option. Tell me what you think. Excuse me. Tell me what you think. I want to know what's going on in your heads. Did you watch it? Did you think it was as good as I did? I've seen other reviews online, and they didn't seem to like it as much as I did. I don't really care. I don't care. What I care is what I think. And you know what? I think that it was a great episode, and I hope they can continue to do episodes like this again. And let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to sign up for your ad-free experience. And let Matt know how you think I'm doing. Maybe the mailbag. I don't know. Let me know. Because I can only get better if I get some constructive criticism. If not, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm assuming that you guys like what I'm doing. Keep me updated. Have a lovely weekend if I don't see you. And for all you veterans out there, Monday's Veterans Day. For all you veterans out there, thank you so much for your service. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.